Hey everyone, Addison here, and I'm taking you on a journey through the illustrations, through the imagery found in the Saints book. Each chapter has its own special image, and today we're going to take a look at chapter 3. Chapter 3, okay, here we go, chapter 3. This is one of my favorite images. And we find here this man, I should say, I guess you could see his body a bit right there, and his head's coming out of a book, and then he has this mirror, he's looking at himself in the mirror, and then we have this tree in the background. And you're like, what the heck is going on here? Well, the chapter title is Mirror. Mirror. And the big idea of this chapter is that mirrors can be tricky things. We view them as a form of truth teller, but they easily lie, they easily deceive. If you're familiar with the story of the Hubble Space Telescope, it was launched in 1990, and there was a miscalibration with the mirror. And it was a 50th of a human hair. So it was a tiny miscalibration. But that miscalibration kept Hubble from seeing the stars. And so what we see when we look into the mirror is everything. And also what mirror we're looking through into is everything. And so we have to be aware of the fact that there's this true self and there's this false self. The true self is who we are recreated in Christ. It's that unique expression of His goodness and His faithfulness and His wonder. That is us. The false self is the idea of who we are that's built on confusion and failure and labels that have been superimposed on us. And we live in the tension of these two selves. We live in the tension of believing that we are who God says we are, or believing that we are who the people in our world have tried to define us as. And so I talk about the importance of this journey, of looking into the mirror, of persevering, of seeing ourselves the way God sees us. And I use primarily, the text that I use for this is James 1. And I talk about why it's so important for us to persevere, why it's so important for us to look through that law of liberty, because it's through that law of liberty that we find the vision for who God has created us to be. We find the empowerment to become saints, people of His otherness, people who reveal the wonder and the mystery that was written on our hearts from the beginning of time. And that's the big idea of this chapter, is seeing ourselves the way that God sees us, so that we can then reflect that beauty, that power, that righteousness to the world that He's sent us into. And that is chapter 3.